back to Smacking Off the Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. I'm joined with Doug Phillips, my co-host and producer. Doug, what the fuck's going on?
The fuck if I know. Is he packing his shit up yet?
I really like that. I'm going to use that throughout the show, just so you know. I'm sorry. I heard the lack of excitement in your voice, but as this podcast goes on, I think tonight you're really going to come around to this. See, you're starting to feel it already, aren't you?
Maybe some of our guests are. Robert?
We're joined with Dr. Balls. Bob Arthur, what's going on, man?
What's happening, guys?
Living the dream. And we are also joined, her grand re-debut back on the podcast after I had her blocked on Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, Shannon Russell. Shannon, it is so wonderful to talk to you tonight. It is so wonderful to talk to you tonight because we have, of course, we have not spoken to you since Ed Orgeron was announced that he is leaving the program, and I know you're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I don't dislike him as a person, but I knew from the day they hired him it was a mistake. I mean, he obviously cannot maintain an elite program. I've been saying it for a long time. I said it before the 2020 season started that, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some credibility for the 2019 national championship, but it's obvious that there were a lot of playmakers, around him that made that happen. And of course,
I would strongly argue him more than any other national championship coach. A couple Auburn coaches come to mind. He was probably had the very least to do on that staff with the national championship. I think maybe some third string kickers probably had a little bit more to do with that championship than he did.
Credibility on that would be
the fact that he showed up, that he actually had to. He was contractually obligated to show up and pretend like he was the coach. He did a great job of that. He looked like the coach there for a minute.
I would give him credibility for his ability to recruit. You got Joe Burrow to come and play for LSU. I think he deserves some credibility for that and for getting the right coaches like Joe Burrow. So, like I said, he deserves some credibility. But
now, you're not making this statement simply due to the fact that most of the girlfriends at Ed Orgeron has chosen kind of look like you? I mean, seriously, if you put those chicks' pictures next to your Facebook profile picture, y'all can kind of pass for sisters. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, but it wasn't.
How well do you know Ed Orgeron?
Probably better than you, but
I mean, that's kind of what I'm hitting at, maybe. I mean, because you are throwing some love for a second. For a while there, you were kind of down on him, but I don't know. Did y'all happen to bump into each other in a park running or something like that?
No, nothing like that. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying.
That's a good one, too.
He deserves some credibility.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. For what? What does he deserve credibility for? Absolutely fucking nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maybe a couple wins over some smaller tier schools, but for what LSU was expecting when they signed that big fat contract for him, man, he just took a big giant steaming dump all over it and used it for a cum rag.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where I fault him. It's like, maybe he got overconfident, got the big head, and he's, for whatever reason, if it's his personal life or whatever his excuse is, he definitely has.
Oh, man, come on. Look, it's not just, and you can't just, you're brushing with a really broad stroke here. His personal life has bled directly over onto the football field, literally onto y'all's football field. I mean, the massive amount of disrespect that he showed the title of head coach for LSU. I mean, you as a fan should be absolutely infuriating. Give him no credit whatsoever. I'm just saying.
Well, there's mixed stories.
Let's give it to Bob. Let's give it to Bob for a second. I want to get a different opinion on this because we both have pretty biased opinions about it. Bob's kind of neutral. Come on, Bob.
Well, so in my opinion, you've got a guy that's perfectly suited to run the program at LSU in terms of his personality and the fact that he could have bonded with the fans and had a lifelong job there just because of the fact that he seemed like he was a good ass. But his behavior is so outlandish that he basically mortgaged all that away. So that's how bad his behavior has been at LSU. That somebody that you can totally.
And look, any modicum of success that he's ever had has been with other people's recruits. And I've heard all this great talk about what a great recruiter he is, or this, that, and the other. I guess we're going to find out in the transfer portal this later this season.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, he is a good recruiter. He is a good recruiter, and he did, from what I understand, and things I've read about how it all played out with him and Joe Burrow, that he was the main one that sought him out and convinced him to come to LSU. So, that's where, if I had to give him credibility on one thing or in one area, it would be recruiting. Not to say that there wasn't other coaches.
The only credit that I can give him as far as recruiting goes, I mean, just definitively, is down at the local bar, because those little blondes are hanging out with us. Oh man, he's got some cuties down there. I didn't think Ed could pull that. I mean, because Ed's no spring chicken. I mean, he's those are some lovely ladies that he's been kind of hanging out with. Shannon Russell.
Well, I'm sure the lore is the fact that he's the head football coach of LSU. So of course that gives him a lot of.
And that's kind of skeezy if you think about it. I mean, and look, that there's the Title IX allegations, which we hadn't even begun to touch on that, and that's some pretty damning shit. That shit is so damning that it's probably going to prevent him from getting a job elsewhere for a good long while, if it finally comes down the way that these things sometimes usually go.
Well, no elite team's going to be fighting to hire him. That's for sure, with or without the Title IX.
I mean, I don't think that there's going to. I think it's going to be so bad that he might have to step outside of the Power Five to kind of work his way back in. Arkansas State.
No elite team is going to want him. So he's tarnished his name and his credibility, as well as his ability to maintain a elite program. So he's done as far as that goes. I mean, he's leaving with $17 million on top of what he's already made. So, I just think he just wants to just be single, play the field, and live on his money. I mean, I guess no shame in that.
Here, we want to give you a chance to go ahead and talk about any rumors you might have heard by addressing what's going to happen next for LSU. And
Y'all sound concerned. Y'all sound worried.
I'm not.
No. Oh, absolutely not. No.
Y'all must.
Go back and look at the lifetime record between Alabama and LSU, and let's talk about word.
You either A, are concerned and going to play poker face, or B, you just want to make a mockery out of it.
The only coach that would really concern me at this point, and speaking of fallen angels, would be if somehow, some way, Hugh Freeze is able to weasel his way back in.
That's what was on my mind.
I think because of the nature, and I think because of the nature of what Ed has wrought there, the culture that he has wrought, which, I can't blame the culture there entirely on him. The culture was there before he got there, Les Miles. But, there's been plenty said about that. And LSU's just, I don't know what it is. Saban set the bar there, left, and nobody else has been able to, Les Miles brushed up against it, but that's about it.
Well, so I know a lot of Bama fans don't know this. I've made it common knowledge here in the last few days, but they don't listen and they just laugh and whatever. And you really got to think about this though. But our athletic director, Scott Woodward, and Saban are very close friends. And I don't mean just, acquaintances. It's been set on record by two local sportscasters that they vacation together.
Oh, whoa. What are you suggesting here?
Hold on, let me finish.
Are you suggesting that Nick Saban might be having a homoerotic relationship with Scott Woodward?
Man, shut up. Seriously, if you want
I'm glad I did this podcast tonight. This is awesome.
You need to be on some Adderall or something. If you want a serious response to this, and you want to seriously know,
there's no way I can take that. There's no way I can take Nick Saban leaving Alabama for LSU, going back to LSU, because he left for a reason. Come on now. You think it was just a siren call of the NFL?
He's bored with Alabama. He's done everything that he wanted to set out and accomplish. All I'm saying is, don't say it's not possible or throw it out like it could not happen at all. Is all I'm saying.
It is almost entirely out of the realm of possibility. I mean, there's just
theoretically it's possible for pigs to fly out of my ass tomorrow, but it's probably
maybe 15 years ago something like this could have happened. But Nick's also Nick's settled in. he's got a thing going in Tuscaloosa that is very comfortable, very familiar with him. And older people,
okay, we know all
we're all
that.
older people. Let's go ahead and admit it. We're all older people sitting here talking here.
I got to hear Alabama.
Fewer older than others.
I don't need Alabama hype. I'm trying to explain to you.
This ain't about Bama hype. I'm just trying to bring this balloon that's sailing off in his face back down to reality.
I get all that. That's everybody understands that. That's understood. That goes without saying. I'm trying to explain to you the circumstances so that you don't just toss this out as it's nothing. And it may be nothing, but I'm just telling you the circumstances around this and the rumors that are surfacing and coming from reliable sources. You know, what I'm trying to say is if Scott Woodward, one of his closest friends, was not our athletic director, I would laugh in their face if somebody told me that Nick Saban would even consider coming back. But what my point is if you're one of your closest friends is Nick Saban, and you're the athletic director at a college, you're going to at least bring it up. I guarantee you the conversation has already happened. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he say, you know, hey, would you even think about coming back to LSU? I mean, it's they're close friends. And like I said, it's on record. I sent it to y'all that they vacation together. And I can't imagine if I'm that close to Nick Saban, he goes on vacation with my family, and we have that close of a relationship. You know that conversation has come up, and y'all are fooling yourselves if you don't think that conversation has taken place.
You know he vacations with that.
I don't know, but that is a fact that they are close friends.
You know that he vacations with Dabo as well.
Scott Woodward? They're not that close. Scott Woodward?
No, I'm talking about
Mark Emmert.
I'm talking about Saban and Dabo.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm telling you, Mark Emmert, Scott Woodward, but Dabo's not hiring somebody. Scott Woodward is. Scott Woodward, Mark Emmert, Jimbo Fisher, Nick Saban, and Kirby Smart are all close friends. They've admitted it. They've all said it on record. They've admitted it.
So you mean they don't really hate each other in real life?
Their common ground is LSU. They all started at LSU. They all left LSU at the same time, and they have maintained those friendships.
All left LSU.
Scott Woodward followed Mark Emmert to Washington when he left LSU, and he was the athletic director for Washington. Okay.
You know, if LSU's such a great job, why is everybody leaving?
And then Mark Emmert took the job as director, and that's when Scott Woodward transferred to Texas A&M and became their athletic director. And there is when he hired Jimbo Fisher, and everybody was flabbergasted at the amount of money they offered him. But look, now it all makes sense. They're friends. So he hired his friend and got him a fat contract at Texas A&M from FSU. So what I'm saying is that Jimbo Fisher, I know Jimbo Fisher is not Nick Saban, but he is a good coach. If he can, and he beat y'all this year, by the way. Remember, Texas A&M beat
I barely remember it.
No, I didn't. I was drunk. I was drunk during that game. I stopped drinking 6 years ago, but I was drunk.
So if Jimbo Fisher's going to leave and take a job at, with his friend Scott Woodward, who's to say? I mean, part of me believes, okay, Nick Saban's too old. He's got kids and grandkids in Alabama.
Yeah. The smarter half of you believes that, but go ahead.
But I can see, but they spend part of their year in West Virginia,
Yeah.
So.
Hey, whoa. Maybe, wait a minute. Maybe Saban's going to West Virginia. Oh, shit. It all makes sense now. It's all coming together.
But let me finish telling you the rest of the story.
Okay.
So here's what I was told what they're proposing that's going to happen. That Saban's going to come to LSU as a favor to Woodward for a couple of years to help rebuild the program, and that because he loves Louisiana talent, that's no secret. And then he is going to possibly take the job at ESPN to replace Corso. And because he's obviously,
Let me ask you this, Shannon. So they hired new Rocky tomorrow, right? How many years of probation is LSU going to be on, and how many scholarships are they going to lose for Duke Rocky to deal with? So no matter who they hire at LSU, what kind of name they got?
Okay, here's my response to that. And I'm not saying for certain this is going to how it's going to play out, but this is just my thoughts and things that I've learned, and I could be wrong. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be any repercussions for our actions, but this is what that's been discussed in inner circles and what I think. The NCAA does not have the same power that they used to. I mean, we know this by the SEC, forming the super conference. They're basically,
basically by the LSU basketball program pissing all in their face and daring them to do something about it. Go ahead.
Right. I mean,
that's what happened.
The connection, and I mean, I'll admit it. We know the connection. Mark Emmert is a former chancellor of LSU, and he hired Saban whenever, he was at LSU. And here, it's kind of like this.
You talking about the former president?
If LSU unfolds, other programs are going to unfold. And I don't think they're going to be as strict on the repercussions as far as the NCAA is concerned, and maybe even some of the Title IX, because here's why. College football is a moneymaker, and we know money rules. And they saw the devastation it caused to SMU when they imposed the death penalty. It's almost, it takes years. I mean, they'll probably never be the same because of that. And you're hurting all of the sport when you do that. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be some repercussions, but again, they're focusing on the money aspect, and LSU is a big contributor, money wise for all of sports. So that would be my response into, I'm not saying there's not going to be some, we've already did a self-imposed 1-year bowl ban. I think we gave up a couple of scholarships. Right. Okay. So, and when people start bringing up, and for me, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but for me, when people start saying, "Oh, y'all pay players," it really doesn't have the same effect anymore, because it's like, well, they're legally getting paid now. Who cares?
Yeah, everybody's getting paid now. Okay, and I think it's great, because I think it'll eliminate it, but at the same time, the more wealthier schools would.
But do you realize what effect that did to the NCAA? That basically was like an FU to the NCAA. Like, what y'all gonna do about it now?
Yeah. Yeah, once you give some folks some money, you can go fuck yourself, man. I got money.
Title IX is something completely different, though. In the climate that we live in, with everything correct and everything about equality and so forth, they make these Title IX violations. They're going to hang LSU. I don't care what y'all think. If it's straight up the truth these days. If you do something that offends somebody else, then they're going to put repercussions on you. So I think they're going to slam LSU, and it ain't going to have nothing to do with money. It's going to have everything to do with the way people are treated as part of the Title IX investigation.
So anyway, let me give Shannon a chance to just give us a time frame. When should, if this is true, when should we start hearing media leaks on this?
Well, let me just answer Robert's question, and I'll answer it, I promise. I understand what you're saying, Robert, and you're not wrong, and I understand that, but, and I know Title IX is different than NCAA and all that, but I can honestly tell you that I don't think someone like Kim Mulkey would have shown up right in the middle of when the investigation started. We were just being blasted in the media, and Scott Woodward sealed that hire. I don't think she would come on board, and it's big. She's basically a Nick Saban of women's basketball. And I see all these other hires he's making, like with Jay Johnson. I don't see these elite coaches, and that's what tells me that they must have been told inside information or promised, it's not as bad as it looks. And from my understanding, there's a lot that they did not prove as well, even with Les Miles, that there was still a lot of hearsay. So what I'm saying is, it could go either way. I'm not going to sit here and tell you 100% fact that LSU's not going to suffer some consequences for that, but I don't think it's on the level that people are expecting, and they should, but it's not. It's money talks, and I think there's a lot of things that are going to be pushed on the rug, or a lot of things.
So, breaking news: LSU is going to pay their way out of the Title IX allegations. This is amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
I'm saying the money in sports in itself, the money that's in sports in itself at any school, Bama included.
We got to wrap. We got to wrap this. We got to wrap this up, because
So the time frame. I mean, obviously, I don't think we're going to announce who our next hire is until obviously the end of the season. So that tells me it's somebody that's obviously employed. So we're not going to know this thing, how this plays out. I mean, it's possible would they announce it after the national championship or in December? Who knows? It all depends on who that coach is and if they're even in the playoffs. So I'll give you some names real quick, other than Saban that I've heard. And that ones that I think that are stick. I keep hearing Bill Napier, and I do think that he's a good possibility in the mix. I don't think he's the first or second choice. And here's why. He turned down South Carolina, Auburn, and I think Mississippi State. I think if anything, if he's not holding out for LSU, he's holding out to maybe, replace Saban. Who knows? If Saban doesn't last.
The Saban to LSU, Billy Napier to Alabama.
I'm not saying that. I'm talking about if Saban stays at Alabama and retires.
Here's my prediction: we will never hear anything about Saban going to LSU through this whole thing.
Probably, maybe not.
But that's my prediction. How about you?
That sounds like a pretty solid prediction. I'm actually going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to predict the very same thing that Doug just said, except with an exclamation point at the end.
Okay, so you coming on with Beeman next week, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
Here's 6 things that you can do to help support this podcast. Like, share, and comment on our videos. Buy our merchandise. Use our affiliate web links to buy great products and services from our affiliates. And tell others about our podcast.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girando, delle belle turbando al riposo, narcisetto atogino d'amor. Delle belle turbando al riposo, narcisetto atogino d'amor.
Welcome college football fans to another weekly installment of Congratulations, you lost, and your team accidentally. Please welcome our resident psychology ST Timothy Bailey.
Matt Wells.
I'm going to start out with the guy who got fired on his day off. Matt Wells. Okay, let's be honest. There's no days off for head coaches in college football, but Matt Wells has been a pretty piss-poor head coach at Texas Tech the whole time. I'd written an article last year that you may recall where I talked about how Texas Tech is really, looking stupid for firing Cliff Kingsbury and then bringing in this guy, Yeah,
I would agree with that, too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Cliff Kingsbury is coaching the only undefeated NFL team right now, so. But yeah, long story short, Matt Wells isn't a very good coach, and on Saturday, they had built a 24-10 lead over Kansas State, which they did not manage to hold on to. And while that performance, I do think, was a factor, there has to be some other factors because Matt Wells hasn't been good at Texas Tech at all. And then this year, they're 5-2. You're a point away from being 6-2. You wouldn't think that that's the reason why you would fire a coach right then. You wouldn't wait till the end of the season or something. So there has to be something else going on there, in my opinion, other than just the performance. Because his performance hasn't been good, but you always have the end of the season to fire the guy.
Right.
So, something else is going on there, but he absolutely stinks as a head coach. Totally deserves to be fired. Tough for Texas Tech, to lose their head coach a couple days before they play Oklahoma. Probably a pretty angry Oklahoma team at that. But, it's Matt Wells sucks.
He does. He sucks donkey balls in the worst way this week.
He definitely did.
Is this the first time you've ever done a coach the week they got fired?
I think it is, yeah, because, it's not too often in college football that you fire coaches midseason. I think did we do Clay Helton? We did Clay Helton, but maybe it wasn't the week he got fired.
It may not have been.
Dave Doran.
Dave Doran, the head coach for North Carolina State. For the second year in a row, they've managed to find a way to lose to Miami. Last year it was blowing, I believe, a 20-point lead, and this year it was just getting their butts handed to them. Just absolute embarrassment of a game for them. They ended up losing the game by a point. Defense couldn't get enough stops. They lost to a quarterback who I don't even remember the guy's name, who threw a pass on 3rd and 13.
They also gave you one of your losses in your guru battle.
They did, man. I still managed to win, so it's all good. But what a joke of a performance, seriously, by NC State. I mean, this is a team that had aspirations of winning the ACC and maybe backdooring their way into the playoffs if things played out in just the right way. And, well, those hopes are over. NC State is done. Put a fork in them.
James Franklin.
Mr. James Franklin, everybody. But seriously, how in the world do you lose the game to Illinois?
I don't know, man.
How do you go to overtime 9 times?
I have not watched this game yet. What were 2 field goals were scored? And then they eventually got to the new ruling where they just lined up for 2-point conversions. And each team did it twice. And Illinois hit their 2-point conversion twice. Is this correct? And then Penn State hit one of them?
Yep, that's exactly correct.
Okay.
They failed a bunch of them, too, because, obviously there was, 7 overtimes worth of 2-point conversions?
Oh, so when does the 2-point conversions start?
On the 3rd overtime.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, so they both missed a bunch of them, and then eventually...
Illinois had to put in their backup quarterback, and he hit the game-winning one.
Right.
But yeah, no, Illinois is a bad team, man. And that's why this is an embarrassing one. I mean, we had Scott Frost on here for this same loss, and that was in week 1. I mean, you're a well-oiled machine. You're about to take on Ohio State for a chance to be a front runner in your division and a chance to go to the college football playoff, and you choke on a cupcake like this is absolutely crazy.
Did Scott Frost get saved by this one, or would he have possibly made it back on this week?
I mean, I don't know. Like the problem with Scott Frost, I just got tired of putting him on here, man. I mean, I also feel bad for him to an extent because I don't know that he's really had a fair shake up there yet. This is Dan Mullen's Super Bowl. I mean, both are coming off a bye week for sure. But this is Dan Mullen's Super Bowl. This is how he gets people to shut up about how bad of a job he's done this year, right?
Yep.
So it's definitely an interesting dynamic. Georgia's certainly the better team. And Georgia was probably the better team when the two played last year too, to be quite frank with you. And Georgia was unable to win that game. So, I mean, it'll just depend. How does Florida show up, man? Because here's the interesting dynamic. Georgia has the best defensive line in the country, right? Mm-hmm. Definitely the best defensive line in the SEC. And Florida has the best offensive line in the SEC from a statistical standpoint. So, I mean, that'll be an interesting matchup there. If Florida is able to run the football against Georgia, then Georgia will probably lose this game.
Ole Miss is coming to Auburn, I believe.
That's correct. Game in Jordan Hare.
Yep.
Tigers are favored by 3 in that one, by the way.
Yep.
I really like Auburn in this game. I mean, Ole Miss is really hurting on the offensive side from an injury standpoint. They've got some guys missing at wide receiver. Auburn has been a pretty good run defensive team this year in moments. They certainly did a good job for the most part against Georgia until things really got out of hand. And then you also have, Ole Miss's defense just doesn't exist. And so, you have to like the matchup for the way Bo Nix has been playing. He's been an accurate quarterback, which is not something we've said about him, which is a very huge problem for Malzahn that Bo Nix is playing a lot better because it says a lot about him. But Auburn is playing good football right now, and you know how tough it is for people to play in that stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's another one I've got circled, and definitely looking forward to watching that one. All right, man, I'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Visit the Smacking Off the Podcast Amazon store for awesome collegiate apparel. And help to support the podcast by making a purchase. Go to smackology.life/Amazon.
college football history.
38 years ago today, the number 4 Auburn Tigers defeated the number 5 Florida Gators 28-21 in Jordan-Hare Stadium. The loss disrupted the Gators' 7-game unbeaten streak, and dropped them to number 9 in the AP poll. Auburn would go on to win out, and finish the season with 1 loss, and the number 3 ranking, only to be jumped by a 1-loss Miami team at the conclusion of the season, in which the Auburn Tigers did not lay claim to even a share of the 1983 national championship, though many think they should have. They did reach the top of the poll, in the New York Times Top 25, for whatever that is worth.
Smacking Off the Podcast's Battle of the Gurus.
And welcome back to Smacking Off the Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden, joined with Doug Phillips, and we're also joined with frequent contributor, Dr. Balls, Bob Arthur. What's going on, Bob?
What's up, guys?
And this is the weekly segment of the Guru Battle.
Yes, and we've got another no-show. Scott has sent in his picks. Okay, so Iowa at Wisconsin is the first game. And Scott,
that's a tough one.
Scott has whiskey on this one.
Well, I picked Iowa, but here's why. Wisconsin, their quarterback's an interception machine. He's thrown for 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Enough said. Iowa's going to flip the field. They're going to punt it deep. They're going to have good returns. They're going to win with special teams. I got Iowa.
Good pick. Good pick, and Mackenzie Brooks applauds you as well.
That's right. Shout out to Big Mac.
All right.
Mac Truck.
All right. The short horns of Texas are headed over to play the Baylor Bears.
Horns down.
Yep.
I like Dave Miranda. I think he's going to beat Texas. I got Baylor.
All right.
Really? Wow.
Well, Scott has Texas on that. So y'all have picked 2 games so far, and you're opposed on both of them.
All right.
There will be a winner.
Yes. Well, there will be no. Right now, with 2 games, it could actually split and they could tie.
Perhaps.
But anyway, the Miami Hurricanes are headed to Pitt to play they're ranked, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's like 22 or 23.
Number 17, according to my paper.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay. And Scott has Pitt on this.
I have Pitt as well.
All right. Finally in agreement. The world's largest cocktail party. Can I say that?
Yes, you can. Actually, we're allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that if you work for big-time network television, and luckily, our sponsors don't give a fuck.
No, they don't. Jerry's kids don't give a shit.
That's right.
All right. Georgia versus Florida. That's a neutral site game in Jacksonville like it is every year. And Scott has UGA.
I've got UGA too.
I don't see how you could go anyway. I don't see how you can go against Georgia in any game this year.
I think Florida has the personnel to make it interesting. I just don't think they will.
Mm-mm. No, Georgia's again playing on a different level than seemingly everybody else.
If Florida can't deal with Kentucky, what makes you think they're going to deal with Florida's? I mean, with Georgia's, you know?
Yeah.
Like Georgia's defensive line's otherworldly, maybe the best I've ever seen in college anyway.
Texas Tech. They just fired their coach, by the way. That was Matt Wells. They just fired him. I don't know. I guess they've got an interim for this game, but I do not know who it is. Texas Tech goes to Oklahoma. And Scott Davis has Oklahoma on this one.
I have Oklahoma as well. It's hard to pick against them in this game.
I mean, I'm sure they'll fuck around, and it'll look like Texas Tech's got a chance to win for a while.
They might put Spencer Rattler back in. Is that what you're telling me? I don't see that happening.
Okay, the Lane Train headed toward Auburn.
Hard one to pick too.
That's going to be a fun game to watch right there.
Scott says Auburn for the easy win.
Really?
Yes.
I've got Ole Miss. I don't think that Bo Nix can win a game that matters.
All right.
Audience seems to agree with that statement.
You're not going to be happy with this pick on this next game. Kentucky goes to Mississippi State, and Scott Davis is going with Mississippi State here.
Well, if you go to history, Kentucky hasn't beat Mississippi State at Mississippi State since, I think, 2005. But if you pay attention to the game last year, UK almost shut them out except for a stupid snap that gave us a safety 22-2. And Mississippi State falls right into UK's way of playing defenses. We got guys laying back when we try to make pressure front 3 and 4 and a few zone blitzes, and I just don't believe they're going to win it. This is UK's year. I got the Cats.
All right.
Florida State and Clemson. This used to be a fucking mammoth game.
It's going to be an interesting game, though, if you think about it.
I mean, both teams are shitty.
Doesn't mean anything. Yeah, and that's the weirdest part about this is that a Florida Clemson State game. There is nothing to win in this game.
I would give FSU a shot.
Not for real.
I would give FSU a shot if Clemson was going to Tallahassee, but that's not happening. Scott's got Clemson on this one.
I've got Clemson as well. And guys, it's a sad day when Florida State and Miami are both down. All the Florida recruiting is going to LSU and Georgia. They better do something down there, guys.
All right, this would have been the game of the week, probably, if Penn State wouldn't have shit the bed last week at Illinois in nine fucking overtimes.
Yeah, that happened. That's a record.
Penn State goes to the Horseshoe to play the Ohio State Buckeyes. Scott has Ohio State here.
I have Ohio State too. I don't believe Penn's Columbia. I don't believe that Penn State can put up enough points to play with Ohio State.
Mm-mm.
All right, so this really is the game of the week. It don't really feel like the game of the week, and it's hard for me. Sorry, it's hard for me to say that it's the game of the week. But these two teams are both undefeated, both in the top 10. The Michigan Wolverines headed to East Lansing to play the Michigan State Spartans.
Well, this is a very big game.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of connotations to what happens in this game, and what's going on with the Big Ten is they're just knocking each other out and making teams in other conferences like Kentucky that only have one loss keep moving up the polls. So I love this game. To me, it don't matter who wins, but I'm curious who Scott picked. Who did he pick?
He picked Michigan.
Well, I picked Michigan State.
All right, Sparty for Bob. Okay, so I don't know technically. I could actually look through all this and figure out if y'all can technically tie, but I think I'll just go ahead and get your take on the tiebreaker.
What's the tie?
The tiebreaker is how many points will Florida score on Georgia? And I can go ahead and tell you, Scott has picked 13. Go ahead.
That was my number, right? Now, if he goes over, then
the closest to it without going over gets it. But if you both go over, then it's whoever's closest.
Then I'm going to say 12.
All right. 12, 13. So anything over 13, Scott's got it. Anything under 13, you got it.
There you go. So I took a little chance there because I think Mullen's going to be creative and try to score. But I don't know, guys. I believe Georgia's got the defense. They may be something special.
What are they averaging? Like just a little over 5 points a game giving up?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I mean that's insane, especially this far into the season. That is insane.
Yeah, they're the only team that's held big-time rushing programs to like crazy numbers, like 150 yards, and they've done it several times, not just once. And
crazy.
And Dan Mullen's got these rushing quarterbacks, but I don't know if either one of them can survive the game. I mean, he's basically screwed the program by not committing to a player, right? And it's like a like a Leak Tim Tebow kind of thing where they couldn't figure out who they really wanted to play, and they was trying to make Leak look good, even though it was impossible to make a player that sad.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, and the Chris Leak, and it's the same situation. Emory Jones is Chris Leak, the other boy is Tebow, right? And everybody knows the other boy is better, and Mullen is smarter than everybody else.
Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams, that's another good example. What's going on in Oklahoma right now?
Oh yeah, but it's not hubris running that program. Lincoln Riley's not going to sit around on a decision like that. He's going to go ahead and jump to it. Right. Whereas, as you can see, Mullen, he is stepped with it hard. I believe he's basically threw the season away. by staying with Emory Jones. So, I mean, Richardson, even if he is only the future, if Emory Jones isn't the future, you got to find out what Richardson is right now.
The quickest battle of the gurus we've ever done, I believe.
Hallelujah.
Buy the Life Championship t-shirt today for the low price of $23.49. You will never find a shirt like this again in your entire life. So don't be a tightwad. Cheap motherfucker. Buy this shirt today. Get that shirt and many others at the Smacking Off Spread Shop. Please remember smackingoff.myspreadshop.com for all of your smacking off apparel.
The Big Ten football games of the week. Penn State at Ohio State and Michigan at Michigan State. With Alex Bryan, Kyle Golik, Sean Vergowven, and Dominic Kreh.
We talking Ohio State, Penn State first.
Oh,
alrighty.
Big bet.
90% of the time, this is going to be the highlight game, but this year, Penn State done fucked it up.
Well, we fucked it up good. What a disaster!
Kyle, tell me about it, man, because I'm pissed.
I'm gonna tell you this. We're gonna go back a few weeks ago to Iowa City when Penn State looked like it was about to boat race. Iowa, I mean, life was good. You know, gas was still like under $3 a gallon here in Pennsylvania.
Rip.
Like, I mean,
it was a different world, wasn't it, Kyle?
Thanks, Joe Biden. Thanks.
I'm loving life. And
I'll take the expensive gas.
Hurt, and I'm like, you know what? It's okay. We got a D-line. Life is good. And then all of a sudden, what we hoped wouldn't happen happened. And since then, for about, what I would say, 6+ quarters plus 9 overtime periods, I've probably watched the most disgraceful, horrible, disastrous football of Penn State football I've seen in my lifetime. I mean, even in the dark Paterno era, they weren't this bad. I mean, that includes like a 3-9 Penn State team with like Gino Capone and Zach No Skills Mills. I mean, this was a disaster.
I need to tell you this, Kyle, and this is a spoiler because this will be on this episode. Timothy Bailey, he's got your man on your team sucks donkey balls this week.
I mean, you can put us in whatever position you want to, because when you play as disgraceful and as disastrous as we have, we deserve whatever. Because you saw my life ballot. I mean, spoiler alert. I mean, you can't be that bad. Like, I've never watched a football game, and this. You probably have to go back to the 6-4 Iowa game where it was like, hey, is this like slow water torture death? And that's what it was for Iowa. And then I'm going to a wedding. I was going to a wedding. I was sitting in the back. I had the game on my iPhone. My wife's like, why are you subjecting yourself to this? And I'm sitting there going, I don't know. But it's like, I knew they were going to lose, but I'm just sitting here like, I got to see for the outside chance. And I mean, it's like how I don't have any answers. Like there's no physical play. Like then our defense, like some moron in college football universe is trying to tell me, well, Penn State has the number 2 defense in the country, and you got to realize. And he's trying to tell me, you got to realize it's more than just one injury that dictates this. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, motherfucker, did you just watch a game where Penn State nearly gave up 400 rushing yards to Illinois?
The worst part about it is, though,
it literally became so one-dimensional. Like, I was literally swearing and like in my head, and I was like, can we at least put like a stacked defense? If like somehow complete a pass and burn us over the top, God bless it. But they weren't hitting shit. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm going, this is a disaster. Like, there's no penetration, like, with anything.
Oh no, you got penetrated.
Oh, we got penetrated.
No loop. No, the worst part about The worst part about it is not that you lost to Illinois; it's that you lost to Brett fucking Bielema.
No.
Worst part.
Hold on. The true travesty in all of this is a 9 overtime game that still can't manage to hit the over of 45 points.
That is true.
Accurate.
Thank you.
You know, I was telling my buddies, we have a little Penn State chat. And when here's what really bothered me. So it was this late second half in that game. It was either late third or early fourth. Penn State forces the third turnover of the game against Illinois. They're deep in Illinois territory. They're 20 yards to go. And I'm saying they need to get 6 here. They managed to not move forward at all. And Stout comes out. And I've been telling everyone all year, he misses the weirdest kicks. He misses one from the right hash. It was about 42, 43 yards. And I told him, we're gonna rue the day that he missed that kick. He makes that kick. Penn State escapes, regulation with a 3-point win. Disgraceful as it would be, but I'd rather win ugly than lose embarrassingly every time of the week. So
hey, you're talking to a dude whose team lost 35, who lost that with a 35-3 lead over Illinois. So totally understand where you're coming from on that one.
Yeah. So I'm just sitting here going everyone's like, and then everyone's all on Franklin's nuts about where's James Franklin going to be coaching? Is he going to USC, to the University of Florida Children?
He's apparently coaching his team at the Big House this weekend
against Illinois. Yeah.
And you wonder why you lose.
That's crazy. That he's that I don't think he's that out of sorts. I think he might have something else on his mind. I don't think it's necessarily a job.
He got Nick Saban's agent, Jimmy Sexton. He's down in Baton Rouge with Shannon Russell.
Who is that?
Trying to get that deal together.
Just leave
James Franklin
when you're done.
Who's that, Mel Tucker?
I mean,
hey. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I mean, James Franklin might have fucked that up, but he's not wrong in a sense because Ohio State does own the Big House as well. So,
hey,
all right.
What's the chances that Penn State does the unthinkable and pulls this game out?
Oh, there's always a chance.
I mean, absolutely, but
there's always
it fucks the whole Big Ten up.
Especially at a primetime game at home, we seem to really screw the pooch on those. It seems there's always a chance for Penn State to beat us.
What kind of chance would you give them?
40%.
Really? Because I got a feeling that Kyle's not going to give them that high of a chance.
What? That's
I'm serious. I'm serious. Outside of Purdue. And somewhat Michigan State in recent years, the team that's given us the most headaches in the last 20 years has been Penn State. They've taken some Big Ten titles from us, and when they shouldn't have. And we gotta take them seriously.
I gotta say 20%.
That's some Brady Hoke self-loathing crap right there.
They're gonna be pissed off, and I mean at the lowest 30%, but 30 to 40%. I mean we can't overlook these guys.
Kyle, what do you think?
You can overlook these guys.
0% chance.
Come on now. Get the fuck out of here, Kyle.
Look.
Blind squirrel gets a nut once in a while, right, Sean?
Right.
Look.
They play us close a lot.
You know, when I was a younger fella, Penn State played it was a top 10 matchup in Happy Valley. It was against Miami. The U, Steve Unger, who's our U fan, he's still alive. I'm going to give you back to some halcyon days, Gino Torretta and whatnot. Penn State outplayed Miami. They basically lost that game because A, they couldn't do nothing in the red zone, and 2, they missed a bunch of field goals. They lost that game, I think, 17-14. That team entered that game 5-0 and then finished the rest of the way 2-5. I know it doesn't have any merit on these guys, but I just see the same things I saw all them years ago with this team, that they're deflated. You know, Franklin hasn't, he hasn't really stirred up any confidence, especially with the coaching rumors and his gas of late and whatnot. When you play Ohio State, and Vergowven and Dom can point this out too from their point of view, you got to be physical. You got to be able to match the physicality in the trenches. We ain't physical. We're about as soft as Charmin in the okay.
10-play, bud.
Yeah, we don't. Franklin wants to play a glorified 7-on-7 drill. We can't run the football. We can't make up our mind who our running back is. We do like 4 different backs a game. Kane, Lee.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Love it.
You got to have speed too.
Yeah.
Because that's how teams like Purdue beat us. They had a guy who was speedy, and we couldn't tackle him to save our ass, and he ran all over us all night. Basically,
we got that guy in Dotson, but I mean, I love our receiving core with Washington and Lambert.
Yeah, you guys got a good receiving core.
If you can't block, and if you can't, if the running backs can't understand the read and pick up the right block at the right times for Clifford to make that read, to make that throw, it don't matter how great your receivers are. What Purdue does well is they block enough time for their quarterback to read his progressions and make the throw. On the defensive side of the ball, losing Mustapher this year completely destroyed that defensive line. Like he was making up for a lot of the deficiencies the other guys had. I don't see any pickup in the interior, and that's where we're getting beat up on. Is they clog the interior, and the edge rushers just get blown off. And you see in Illinois, they're getting 7-8 yards of carry. Or I would be willing to bet if we look at the stat sheet from last week, our secondary members like Joey Porter Jr. and Jaquan Brisker had the most tackles last week. Look, you can't do these things in Big Ten play against the schools that are in this chat. You lose every time. 0%. Ohio State 55, Penn State 9.
Here's 6 things that you can do to help support this podcast. Like, share, and comment on our videos. Buy our merchandise. Use our affiliate web links to buy great products and services from our affiliates. And tell others about our podcast.
Cade McNamara is not going to win you this game. J.J. McCarthy could win you this game.
You need to start J.J. now.
The problem is you needed to start J.J. 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
right.
Accurate.
You do not put him in. You do not put him under center for the first time in this game.
Cade McNamara. J.J.'s got plenty of reps this season. Plenty.
Yeah, it's all mop up garbage time though.
No. He's got plenty of reps in the game this year. Plus, dude.
Can I chime in?
IMG.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Garbage reps for your backup quarterback or your quarterback of the future don't mean crap in a big game like that. I.e., Taquan Roberson in Iowa City. Take it from someone who's had to live through that.
That's
yep.
true.
Also,
that's true.
Playing at IMG is different than playing at, Ypsilanti Catholic. I mean, IMG,
which is true, but he's only 12 for 19 this season for 212 yards. So
he's athletic. He's movable. He reminds me of a. I don't know what he's got a weird skill set, not a Tom Brady or
if it was
the way he moves is different than
this is why Jim Harbaugh's days are absolutely numbered, because if he was smart, he would have started J.J. McCarthy from the jump this season. Because everybody knows Cade McNamara sucks in the pass game, and we knew that last year. He should have started J.J. McCarthy from the jump, because he would have been ready enough by this game to make it into something. I mean, MSU's offense is so much more balanced, and that's going to be a real big key to why they win.
Look, and here's the thing. If this game was in Ann Arbor and you decided to throw McCarthy out there just with mop-up duty reps, you got a little bit of a forgiving crowd. But you're going to East Lansing. I've been to East Lansing. It's not a fun place to go to.
I hope to go there.
It is an amazing place.
It is an amazing place, but it's not where you want to be putting a guy that has less than 20 attempts on that sheet.
My next stop is Happy Valley, though.
Let me know when you come to Happy Valley, Alex.
I will, sir.
So with that is and again, Mel Tucker and his staff gets paid something like $9 million a year to professionally coach football, because Mel Tucker makes like 5.5 and he's got like 4 for his assistants. So And the blind man in the stadium can tell you exactly what their defensive game plan is going to be. They're going to stack 8 men in the box, and they're going to play cover 2, and they're going to make Cade McNamara beat them on the short passes. That's absolutely what they're going to do, because if you take out Cronum, whatever that dude's name is, and Haskins.
Fucker, you'll remember that Saturday about 6 p.m.
Hey, listen, Braylon. Listen, Braylon, you can't name one player on Michigan State defense. So, but no, if you stop those and you force Cade McNamara to beat you every throw, Michigan State's going to win this game. He doesn't have the reps, he doesn't have the confidence, and you don't have any receivers. No. Ronnie, you're down two of your top 3 wide receivers already due to injury. So really, what are you doing? You're going to throw to a tight end. All right, awesome. You're going to throw to a tight end in the flats, and you're either going to throw to a running back coming out into the flats, or you're going to throw a small crossing route to to a wide receiver. Now, here's the problem. You're not throwing to Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson, who can take a 5-yard crossing route 75 yards for a touchdown. So Scotty Hazelton has changed up the entire Michigan State defense. Under Pat Narduzzi, it was always, hey, we're going to make you beat us with NFL throws. That's awesome, because outside of like 4 quarterbacks that you'll ever face in your college career, none of them can do that. Now, Scotty Hazelton is like, we will give you every 2-yard pass underneath us. And you have to do that every play. You can't get anxious. You can't make a mistake. And you for sure cannot get impatient and try to throw over top. The big problem is going to be, depending on which offensive line we have. We don't know if we're getting Zinner back. I can't remember. Yeah. We got 2 guys down. We've had to shuffle our O-line. I mean, you
guys are missing Ronnie Bell big time.
Well, absolutely.
Big time. But what are you going to do? You get next man up. We've got athletes, wide receiver.
Yeah. Well, and then, because if you look at it, right, Michigan State has given up we rank 111th in the country in passing yards given up.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what.
Because the entire premise of the defense is once you get inside the 30, you don't get those yards anymore, and we're 7th in scoring defense. We're giving up 300 yards a game, and nobody can ever score. Believe me, it is painful to watch, and it is heart attack inducing, but it works.
Who was that scrub team this year that put a bunch of yards up on you guys?
Western Kentucky, but to be fair, Western Kentucky puts up 400 yards on everybody.
Yeah,
because of the exact opposite of Army, where they throw every play.
Yeah, right. They have a top 3 passing offense.
Yeah. Well, and you got to remember too that every quarterback we have faced, except one, and it was Western Kentucky, has had their season high attempts against us, and their lowest season average per attempt. It is 2 to 3 yards every play that they're going to give them, and teams they make mistakes. Receivers don't catch the ball. They try to do something stupid, and the defense capitalizes. The matchup I'm most interested to see is Aiden Hutchinson. That's the one I want to watch.
I want to watch him, and I want to see him, and I'm actually anxious to see how many fucking flags Panashuk's bitch ass is going to get. That dirty son of a bitch.
At least 2 roughing the passer calls. At minimum 2. Whether or not he actually does it, it's minimum 2.
I can't believe
he now has a reputation of roughing the passer. He will get a minimum of 2 roughing the passer calls, guaranteed.
By the way, I saw an article today from the MGO boards where a Wolverine fan asked the question: is this Wolverine team like the 2002 Buckeyes?
What? In what world?
Zero way.
This is what I deal with Wolverine fans, guys.
Yeah. So in reality, in being complete honest, Michigan has the edge in running backs, and this is with full knowledge that Kenneth Walker is at this moment a Heisman finalist, right?
Right.
At this moment, if the ceremony was today, Kenneth Walker is probably in the top 2. Now, I will give the Wolverines the edge in running back because both of them, our backup running back is nowhere near what Haskins is, right?
Right.
Now, That is the only place where I can definitively give them the edge. That is the only place. We have the better quarterback. We have the better receivers. We're tied on both lines. Linebackers, we might have the edge. It's too close. And secondary, I'll give them the secondary. Their secondary is better.
Yeah, all right, so now that we know this, Sean, how's this going to go down?
So this game is going to come down to 5 plays. That's it. It is going to come down to 5 plays, and you won't know it until it happens. When someone throws an interception, they blow a 4th down call, so like just one blown play. Because these teams are way too evenly matched to sit here and say it's going to be a negative 48 game or a 38-12.
One game, maybe 10 points.
I think it's within a touchdown either way. I think Michigan State comes out ahead, and I think it comes down to we have the better quarterback. That is why I think we end up
and more balanced offense.
Give us a score prediction.
I hope we get to that Peyton Thorne and rattle and bring your second string in.
Second string is currently charged with an OWI, so probably not him. So I'm going to go 28-21 Michigan State.
All right.
I'm going to jump in real quick with that. So as Vergowven showed his Big Ten football, and I got my ancient 1986 Penn State National Championship hat on. I know I'm not probably getting a new one anytime soon.
Hey, I don't got anything in here with that. So
yeah,
if my camera was working, I'd show you my 2014 one.
God bless you. But what I like with the battle, the mitten, I really like Mel Mother Tucker. I really like Kenneth Walker. I really, really, really think this is going to be a nail biter. I'm going to go with 26-24 Sparty. I just think this is where Harbaugh's East Lansing streak goes down. I think Michigan's kind of played the softer radar, and I really think Mel Tucker's the better coach in this game.
When you say off the radar, what do you mean? You think that Michigan's not prepared for it, I'm just saying, when you say off the radar, do you feel that the team, the coach, I
think they have a false sense of confidence for this. I like, self-admittedly, you guys were talking about, you were mentioning, like, hey, I don't know if Michigan's been fully tested so far. You know, this is one of those games where we're going to find out who Michigan is, and we're going to find out who Michigan State is. And Michigan State had a couple rough ones with Nebraska, and Nebraska's a hard luck team this year. And Rutgers is another hard luck team that took Michigan to the wall. So I mean, this is going to be a fun one. I can see either side win, but in this one, I really like Michigan State in comparison to Michigan.
I'm not even trying to let my bias and hate for the Wolverine show, but MSU just has the more balanced offense.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm glad that McCarthy didn't start, because I'm a firm believer in breaking quarterbacks in. This year, I never thought we would be national championships contenders, but like you say, you hope every year. You never know what's going to happen in the college football landscape. I don't think we're a national championship contender. I think right now we are a Big Ten contender, especially with what's happened with the Big Ten. But
There's 3 things guaranteed in this life: death, taxes, and the Wolverines going on a losing escapade at the end of the season. So that starts this Saturday.
Everything changes, man. Everything changes. Everything changes at some point. I mean, 2006 on.
Give us your score prediction.
10 years from now, when we're like maybe 9-1 or 10-0 in the last 10 games against you, are you still going to say this?
Yeah, I will still say that some things.
All right, tell us what the Wolverines are going to do.
Ask Sean and them, like he said, once every 10 years they could be good for an upset. But guess what? They got a coach.
Yeah, but hold up, Dom. There's a reason for that. We care about the game more than you guys. We've always cared about the game more than you guys.
So does Ohio State right now.
No, you don't. You guys
absolutely we do.
You're a junior Texas A&M.
I love it.
You mean A&M that beat Alabama?
More rituals and more fucking scattered dogs that run and chase a fucking frisbee. All that shit.
God, please beat the crap out of them this Saturday. Oh, Jesus Christ.
How's this going down?
Let me give Dom credit. This is the first time I've actually got him to take the bait.
Dom, what's your score prediction, bud? What's your sport?
Yeah.
I say, like Sean said, I think there's going to be a couple, busted plays where defender falls down, ref makes some bullshit call for Sparty to help.
Already ref.
Of course, it's the ref.
Always ref.
No, but I think there's going to be a few busted plays. A slip receiver, interception, turnover, something like that, pick six, block punt. Maybe one or two of those plays are going to change it. I'm going to say 28-24 Michigan.
Is Sean O'Neill reffing the game?
And I'm going to need you guys to call, make sure he's okay if that does happen.
You know what? I don't typically pick on these games, but I'm going with Michigan on this one too because it's so lopsided right now. You've only got one guy picking Michigan. You got the other three picking.
Stop sucking his dick.
No, I don't suck no dick. I don't suck no dick. But you know what's going to happen?
Well, you're a Bama fan, so we know that ain't true.
Here's what's going to happen. Michigan State's they're going to need to punt right toward the end of the game. And they're going to mishandle the punt. Michigan's going to take it back for a score.
That would be some shit.
I don't want to win like that.
That would be some shit.
Because they'll say we copied them.
Yeah, they will.
Listen. That win for Michigan State ended up nonchalantly fucking my Buckeyes out of going to the college football playoff in 2015. It kind of sucks looking back on it, but it's still fun.
Hey, don't forget Sean. We don't want to leave out Michigan State. We know how they feel.
Hey, the disrespect card is real.
Sean.
Real.
Hey, Sean.
We wield it like a +4 in Uno, baby. Boom.
Coming Saturday, dude. Coming for you.
Come at me. Later.
Later, guys. Bye.
Here's 6 things that you can do to help support this podcast. Like, share and comment on our videos. Buy our merchandise. Use our affiliate web links to buy great products and services from our affiliates. And tell others about our podcast.